So if you're going to rent out a property yourself and you want to get rid of the agent, there's quite a few things you need to learn and know about. I'm going to go through a list of them. They're very important. Some of them are so important you can't evict your tenant if you don't have them or you haven't done them properly. So please pay attention. They're not in a particular order, but they all need to be done. So the first is EPCs, Energy Performance Certificates. They last 10 years. They cost about £60 typically to get one done on your property. It needs to be a minimum of E rating at the moment, and that's going to be changing up to a C at some point in the future, I believe. The other thing is you need a gas safety certificate. Gas safety certificate has to be done every single year. It costs about between £45 and £60 a year to do, depending on how many appliances you have. EICR, that is your electrical inspection report. That has to be done once every 5 years. That's new rules from just a few years ago. Typically costs about £120 to £150. So if you live in a property in an area where you need landlord licenses, you need to check, because the local authorities, a lot of them are charging for this. You may need a landlord license, and then you've got to make an application for that. The deposit that you get from the tenants, that has to go, that has to be protected. There's two schemes. There's an insured scheme where you pay like a fixed amount, about say £27-30, and it's a one-off payment, and that insures the deposit, but you're allowed to then keep that money in your account as the landlord. The other one is the I forgot what they call it, but it's the one where they hold the deposit. So you just transfer the deposit over to the deposit protection scheme, and they hold the money, and there's no fee for that because they've got basically holding the money, and you've got to then apply for it back. I'm not a big fan of that one. The maximum amount of deposit you can take from a tenant now is 5 weeks rent, unfortunately. So even though the damages that you'd get in the house can easily be miles more than that, that's all you can take. It's also vital to make sure that when you've protected the deposit, you need to serve a notice on the tenant and tell them that they've where the deposit is and how it's been served. So it's called prescribed form. You've got to send to them. It's important, and you need to get them to sign that and send it back to you. If they don't sign it and send it back to you, you need to have proof that it's been served. The other thing you need to send to the tenant is the right to rent. How to rent guide, which you can find online. You can Google it online, and you'll find a link to it. You can attach that as a PDF and send it to them in an email with all the other stuff you're going to send them. The other thing you need to consider is if they are not British citizens, you have to do a right to rent check. So that's like as if you're an immigration officer. You've got to check that they have a right to rent here. The tenant should send you a share code, which you go online, type in online to the government portal, and it will tell you how long they have a right to rent in the UK. You also need to make sure that you've got smoke alarms in the property, one on each floor at least, and a carbon monoxide detector anywhere where you've got gas supply. So even now by the cooker, if it's gas, and by the boiler. And finally, you've got to make sure that any furniture you supply is fireproof. If there's anything I've missed, let me know. It's a lot more complicated than it used to be. Make sure you do all of this paperwork. What I tend to do is when they move in, I've got a form which says it's like a handover form, and it says that you're giving them X number of keys, that they've seen that there's carbon monoxide detectors, smoke alarms, they're working, that they've been served the EPC, the EICR, the gas certificate, stuff like that, and they sign that form. And then you've also got on there the gas reading, the electric reading, and if you've got a water meter, the water meter reading.